Smith, the dean of American sports writers, says it lies somewhere between the roller derby and the ice show. But the hype goes on, and it works because to a lot of people, Arnold just looks so good.
You can have the best product in the world, but if you don't know how to sell it, and if you don't have anybody who can sell it for you or tell the public, it's a waste of time, the whole thing.
It's not unlike the Farrah Fawcett Majors phenomenon. Mix a little talent for doing something and a lot of good looks, and plaster the concoction everywhere, and you have a phenomenon, a vital commodity. For without such phenomena, magazines like People would become tongue-tied.
Am I married? No, I'm not married. Why?
When we return, Arnold turns iron into gold.
Oh, yeah, I'm pumped up already.
The country displaying himself, which is, after all, the main work of a bodybuilder. He lets almost everything hang out, as they say, leaving a trail of fantasies for young women and some men. After all, mystery is what a star is all about. And wherever he goes, he sells bodybuilding and thus the paraphernalia of bodybuilders. Not everyone, however, finds a bodybuilder the body beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I'm pumped up already.
If you go to the Metropolitan Museum, or if you go to any of the great museums of Europe, you will find pieces of sculpture that thousands and thousands of people have gone to see for 300 or 400 years, which they admire as an item of considerable beauty. But when that piece of sculpture turns into the flesh, people are somehow frightened by it. And I think that's got to do with the fact that bodybuilding as an art form at this time is so profoundly original and so far ahead of its time. People just aren't ready for it yet.
But the final performance, the 3-minute posing routine that one does on a stage, is then much more than like a dance or like ballet.
Tchaikovsky is important to bodybuilding, but not nearly so important as the mirror. It's the only way a man can tell how his pectorals are doing.
But I don't know any bodybuilders who then, after they're through with the training, go home and look in the mirror and say, wow, handsome devil. You know, this doesn't exist. I mean, you're never looking at yourself. A bodybuilder looks at his body as a thing, you know, and he wants to develop this thing, and that's what he's looking at, but never at himself.
Arnold's mirror tells him that he is not only the fairest of them all, but just about the only man in bodybuilding who has made any money out of it. For example, the last Mr. Olympia, considered among aficionados the world's champion of bodybuilding, received a measly $2,500 prize for a lifetime of grunting, jerking, and posing.
And it gives me much pleasure to present to you from Gold's Gym, the Hall of Champions, the 1977 Mr. California, Dave Downs!
Bodybuilding, for the most part, is an entertainment or pastime designed almost entirely for the financial well-being of its promoters. The real money goes to men like Ben Weider, who runs something called the International Federation of Bodybuilders, which organizes most of the contests all around the world.
Because our motto is, bodybuilding is good for nation building.
He's also president of Weider Sports Equipment, a company that markets all the hundreds of products that bodybuilders use, the weights and machines and pulleys that look like relics of the Spanish Inquisition, and creams and pills and diet supplements, all the equipment for the right balance of food and torture that promises to transform you from a 97-pound weakling into an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But there's another substance that helps.
Steroids are taken 8 or 9, 10 weeks before a competition. It's not a healthy thing to do, but it's being used.
Did you take them?
I take them. I took them, yeah, up until the competition, 8 or 9 weeks before a competition, and it was something that everybody had to do in order to get an equal chance to, you know, to compete.
What are you seeking when you take steroids?
Well, what the effect it should have is that it makes you gain more weight, and that you get more muscularity, and you get it works a little bit also on your mind. You know, it lifts you up a little bit, and you have more energy to train and so on.
The men who sell the pills and run the contests are the biggest winners in bodybuilding, and strange characters abound. It would seem that there are as many promoters of bodybuilding as there are participants.
Well, I agree with you. There are a lot of strange characters around in this business, but to promote something like that is that young, it takes a lot of different people to promote it in the proper way.
Arnold won't say how much money he makes promoting bodybuilding. He doesn't want to cause any ill feeling, but he's become a small conglomerate himself.
Through bodybuilding, I did a lot of things, you know. I mean, I got into the films. I did 3 films so far and 1 television film. I have a very successful mail order business, and I'm promoting bodybuilding competitions, and I'm now working on my 2nd book.
And on and on and on. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a contented soul. His is one of those stories that is not supposed to have a happy ending. The big, strapping kid pulled out of the Austrian hinterland is supposed to throw it all away to the promoters and a couple of floozies and end up a hopeless case on Skid Row. That's how fiction would have it. But not so Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's happy as a clam, strong as a horse.